All right. So here's the deal. This is episode 11, and it's also 12:23 in the morning. I thought that I would look back at the previous 10 episodes that I've had on this channel and kind of discuss things that I've learned and maybe a little bit about each episode. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot what not to do, a lot of mistakes. This whole thing was about a journey, starting with episode 1. And what worse time to start? Because I plan on watching from start to finish all my videos, all 10 videos, and give a kind of a brief synopsis on that episode and what I've learned and kind of what it's about, which essentially is encapsulating this whole channel to date. So why not start at midnight on some random Thursday morning at this point, with the help of course, a little monsters with an S, because it'll probably be a few hours by the time I finish this video. But I just wanted to, I don't know, just kind of touch base and go with it. And if this is the first video that you watch, this is episode 11, and this is where I am so far, the previous 10 episodes. So here it goes. I've already watched the first one, full disclosure. Yeah, I tortured myself to watch my own video, right? That's YouTube. That episode was one that was in the making for a few months at this point. I created the channel, and other than one community post, which was, I think it was the first picture I took. It was from the drone shot right at midnight. So New Year's Day, technically January 1st. Created the channel, I think in November. I want to say November 20th. And it lay dormant for months, really, because I just didn't have time to start. I was working on some other stuff. I talk about in that episode 1. I talk about how I come from, I say, the world of YouTube, but I ride a motorcycle, and I've been filming those rides for 3.5 years now. I started that channel over based on not wanting to do YouTube shorts. I don't believe, I guess, kind of resonate with that kind of audience. I talk a lot. If you don't know by now, you do. But I had a goal initially of, and I think it comes up in some future episodes, which I'll watch ahead of time. But I had a goal of doing an intro video and kind of discussing, my story, which was in the episode. And I touch on later on that my goal for this channel for the year 2026 was to make one episode. Make sure I was hitting record. I'm bad at that. One episode per month. And like I said, I'm on this is episode 11, and it's currently March the 26th. So I'm way ahead of the game. It was about halfway through the first episode when I realized, as I was talking to the camera, to the lens, I discussed how I'm not completely comfortable talking in front of the lens. Like I said, I do motovlogs, so particularly I'm wearing a helmet, right? Full face helmet, riding a motorcycle, and then filming with an action cam. Boom, action cam. So, slightly uncomfortable, all the other stuff, getting better over time. I do live stream on the other channel, but ultimately behind the lens, I'm more comfortable. But I waited. I'm 41 years old, and in that video I discuss how I waited a long time before I realized how much photography, how much I enjoy it, right? So camera, episode 2 discussing that. But I feel like I wasted a lot of time, and it's not that I picked up the camera at one point and then put it down, picked it up again and put it down or whatever. I never had it. I never had it in my hand. I had, cell phone cameras and a digital camera from the Fire Academy. But I'm a firefighter for 20 years now at this point of shooting this video. As I said, I ride a motorcycle, and I was looking to honestly slow things down a little bit. My whole life is kind of like hustle and bustle, rush. Someone obviously someone calls 911, you jump on the truck, you go to the call, and you got to do what you got to do, right? but there's something about photography and capturing that image, that still image in time, and slowing down and the practice, the art, and all that stuff that really kind of struck a chord with me. And in this video, I talk about how it was wasted time. I felt like I had wasted time, and I really needed to jump into it, to dive into it, and more in another episode down the road. But I usually I get it really involved with something. I get borderline obsessed, passionate about something, and then I just as quickly as I start something up, I give it up. And photography has been the opposite, and more on that, like I said, in a later video. So that's pretty much the first episode. It kind of goes over a lot of how I'm not an expert. There's no mastery, no pressure to perform, no claiming of expertise like maybe another YouTube channel would be. And it was just about documenting my journey. Part of me, as I said, riding and filming my own rides on the motorcycle channel, I feel like I would have loved to seen like the beginning portion of it as I was learning to ride. I remember it, but to be able to go back and look at your own autobiography that you're doing on YouTube, I think would be kind of special. So maybe in 10 years, I'll look back on this and see this video or episode 1 in its entirety and realize that was a start. Halfway through this video, I realized that this is exactly what I want to do.
It's funny because, full disclosure, as stated, I've had the channel bookmarked. Not filmed anything, nothing like this. And I wasn't sure where I was going to go. Even today, I wasn't sure if I was going to film this, even though yesterday I said, it's got to be, it's time, it's got to be. And it wasn't until I hit record and halfway through this conversation that I'm having to a lens in the man cave with poor lighting. I'll get better. It wasn't until halfway through that I realized, like, this is going down. This is something I want to do. This is absolutely something I want to do, and document it more so.
Not only the photography portion, but to document my journey. So, episode 1. Now to episode 2. I'll be right back. And later on, I'm sure that hopefully you don't see the sun come up, peek through those blinds in several hours from now. But I'm sure that by the end of the video, I'll be even more tired looking. Why not start at midnight, right? Oop, almost knocked over my drink. Gonna need another one of those. All right, episode 2. Episode 2 was discussing about this camera. New life for an old camera. New hobby for an old guy. I don't know. There's probably a correlation in there, and there is, because my buddy at work, great friend of mine, he's a photographer. He's a professional photographer. He's taught me countless things at this point, right? The knowledge he has is invaluable. Record. Yep, hitting record. All right. So at this point, I can't thank him enough. And I've gotten a lot of, maybe I have some shiny object syndrome for when it comes to like technology and cameras and stuff. Not the motorcycle, not my old truck I drove into the ground. My motorcycle was a 2011. I got it in 2017. But as far as like tech, like I loved the GoPros for so long. This is the DJI Action 6 going to a wireless connection, so that changed my audio. A new mic, like a lot of stuff I've replaced, but the one thing that I haven't replaced, and they are expensive, of course, but the one thing I haven't replaced, and it has nothing to do with value or finances or expenses in general, is this camera. And what would be really cool, I knew it. It's not quite 50-50, but everything's fine. If I'm talking about this, the Nikon should be straight. There we go. So once again, this camera. So all joking aside, the story on this camera was in episode 2, and my buddy I talked about like I'm terrible at time, but for some reason I always remember in 2018 we worked together in the fire station, same crew. 2018 October, of 2018, he took a trip. He took a trip from the East Coast to the West Coast, and he was in his Nissan Frontier. I think it was battle tested. He slept. He dehydrated food for like weeks on end, and he slept in his truck. Cold temperatures, you name it. He dealt with it traveling across country. He brought this camera. This was his camera, and he showed me the pictures and stuff. And back in 2018, I didn't have. There's no like drive. There's no passion. There's no nothing. I took pictures of my my dog and stuff, and but it was all with the cell phone. Didn't care, didn't know about pro or what a raw photo was or what it meant, color grading, color correcting, nothing. No, not a clue. And fast forward all these years, he's since had moved on from the Nikon D5600 with the lens cap straight. And he's rocking to this day. Right now he's rocking the 850, Nikon D850. And I got on the media team for the fire department. I loved editing. I was going through the whole action cameras and my own YouTube channel and stuff. And he was trying to get me into photography. And I didn't want anything to do with it. I wanted to be on the media team to edit. That's all I cared about. And, we'd go to like live events and stuff, and I'd be on a camera, one of the 3 cameras doing a ceremony or something at work, and I talk about out of my comfort zone. I was out of my comfort zone for that, for sure. White balance, it was, I was good. I could move it. I could set up a tripod, whatever. Moving on. And for even years on the team, I didn't want anything to do with a camera. And I got into it a little bit, and he kind of like wanted me to kind of, I guess, get into the hobby a little bit. But the ultimate was he gifted me this camera right here, the lens. He was going to give me another lens, and I bought it from him because I was like, no. But he gave me extra batteries. He gave me a drone. He gave me just a bunch of stuff, and he didn't use it anymore, and he wanted me to have it. And I flew the drone. I was nervous about the drone. I flew it, and down the road, and I talked about this in the episode. This camera right here actually filmed or photographed my wife and I and our previous dog, who's since passed away. And we got pictures all on the wall and stuff. And the camera means a lot to me for reasons before it was even in my hands, because it captures that moment. But don't have any kids. Love my dog. Where are those people that treat our dog like our kid? But he was such the generosity behind it, and trying to find ways to pay him back. And ultimately, at the end of the episode, obviously quite a lot goes into the episode, but not to be too detailed to try to make this not a super long video. It probably will be. But he said the ultimate payback for me to gift him was to take a picture that essentially I was proud of and frame it and give it to him.
I can't thank him enough. I thank him to this day. I've tried finding ways to pay him back. I got a new monitor, so I gave him a monitor, to try to, because he won't take money. I mean, he's a friend, right? He's a great friend. So he told me that for me to pay him back, he wants me to take a picture with that camera and take that photo and frame it and give it to him. So that's a lot of pressure, because like I said, he's a photographer. He's a professional photographer. But I do plan on doing that. And that's one of the pictures that I will definitely take you along for the ride.
And how awesome is that, right? So I still talk to him this day, talk to him today, a matter of fact, about photography. And he's now in a whole different realm where he's looking to develop his film now. So he got some supplies in, and he's going to look at developing his own film. And it's just really cool. I think about it. I think about, how many shots his camera has taken, how many I've taken, the good, the bad, the ugly, the mistakes I've made, and more on that in future episodes. Not even the top 10, but it was really cool. It was really cool how it went down. So I get into, obviously in episode 2, I discuss a little bit more, obviously in detail, but it was neat to give a life to this camera, a second life, essentially. This was going to be probably just collecting dust and on his shelf somewhere. But the cool thing about this is I've replaced the drone. I gifted him back the drone, which was a pretty funny story. But I gave him back the drone. I purchased my own drone, and he takes the drone, puts his cell phone as it's a controller, older drone, puts it together. He's flying around. He's in settings that I had no idea about. But it goes to show you that as we were flying drones together, he's taking these awesome pictures because he understands the exposure triangle, the limitations of that camera or that drone. He's able to overcome by just like skill and knowledge. And the one thing that I do not want to replace, and I won't replace, is the camera. I will one day, of course, but right now I have so much to learn about photography that I want to learn as much as I can on this camera before I feel like I want to step up. So I mentioned that I'm not replacing the camera. I've replaced damn near everything, but I won't replace the camera until that day comes. And then that, just like my motorcycle, it's either going to stay with me forever or I'll gift it to somebody else. Because he already said he doesn't want it back. All right. Gotta get another monster. Let's go to episode 3. All right. Episode 3. It's actually like perfect timing because I think I introduced that I drank Monster energy drinks.
Well, full disclosure, my other channel was has me joking a lot about drinking Monster energy drinks, and this one I was gonna actually drink water, do the opposite thing, and well, that didn't last long. Welcome to episode 3. Oh. Anyway.
It's kind of a joke. Not kind of. It's a joke on the other channel. So this channel was actually going to drink water. That's what I was talking about in episode 3 for a split second. Followed by me cracking a cold one. Monster, that is. Okay. I took notes this time. Probably a better idea. I should edit as I go along, but I'm good. We'll figure it out. It's now 1:10 in the morning. A couple yawns. I was 2 yawns in. So exhilarating content, right? Ugh, I hate that word, content. All right. So I'm going to look down at the notes. Episode 3 was about, I was flip-flopping because episode 4 was what I was going to do for episode 3. However, because whatever struck my attention or whatever grabbed my attention was it ended up being an impromptu photography session in the backyard of my dog, running around and taking pictures of trees and some stuff like that. And then at the end of the night, I actually took a picture of a monster. So I did like before and after kind of thing. And I really like that. And it's funny now that these episodes were in January, February, and I can see like the lighting. I'm not perfect at any of this stuff. I haven't mastered anything, not even anywhere close. But it was cool to see, and I mentioned in here like how far I've come, but yet how far I have to go. But to kind of like look over my shoulder and see, and it even more so now when I was discussing it, I'm watching or I'm looking at the pictures I was taking and then editing through Lightroom in post. And, they're still fine for me as far as my eye, but I notice things already, and it's a whole different topic. And that part is like, it's really neat to see like the difference. And like I said, different discussion. So here I talked about the impromptu day of taking the dog out back and taking the camera, which I've continued to do even today, actually today. just kind of getting better and practicing and stuff. And the whole thing there was, which I deviate from this later on in a different episode, but I was learning to like slow things down and the intentionality behind a shot. So if I want to take a picture of, the neighbor's tree, the pine tree, instead of taking the picture, I'll find like an angle that I want to hit it at or zoom in at or whatever. And from there, it's more intentional and not just take a picture. Even so, later on, I know in a different episode that sets and reps are more important at this stage than slowing down to a crawl and taking one picture as opposed to taking 5 pictures, different zooms, different focal lengths, angles, or even lenses. So I learned that later, but this episode was I thought that slowing down, from the hustle and bustle that I described earlier, maybe this was the way to slow down, but it is, but it's not a way to learn as quickly as I need to, or to really grasp the good versus the bad. And I take bad pictures and I put it in this episode. This is the first time I think I start showing some of my pictures and images that I took. The lighting was different. It was funny to see the lighting different. The first 2 episodes were filmed back to back in the same night in the man cave. Obviously, the 3rd episode, different shirt. And I could see I changed the lighting a little bit, not to where it is today. So that was cool to see too, like, the change, and there's so much about photography. Great camera, poor lighting versus an average camera and great lighting. There's just a huge difference. Learning about lighting is there's a reason why people just do that. They're professionals at lighting a scene, on movies and stuff, big productions, versus now you do YouTube, you have to be great in audio, photography, the lighting itself, storytelling, all the stuff I'm not. So moving on. I talk about I touched on it, I think, the previous episode, but I really elaborated what I wanted to say and how I wanted to portray it. But possibly being an inspiration, not for my own personal gain and my own, pat myself on the back, but being an inspiration for those in my shoes or similar to my shoes, where they think that they're too much time has passed. Why start now? Whether it was photography, obviously based on this channel, or videography, filmography, cinematography. I don't know. I've heard it 2 different ways. What's the difference? I don't know. Maybe I'll look it up after this. But I was talking about more elaborating on if you're older than me, if you're my age, if you're younger, depending on what it is, just do it. Even if it's just YouTube, just do it. Just put yourself out there. Doesn't matter. I've embarrassed myself so many times, so many ways, and I'll do it moving forward too. So on all my channels, all 2.
You think you're invincible, and to some degree, I don't think I'm my age. I don't feel my age, which is a good thing. But at the same time, my approach, it might be different than somebody like them, as it would be for anybody. Everybody has their own personality. I am not an adrenaline. I can't even say oh my God, adrenaline junkie. Yeah, there we go. Holy cow! It's early. We had 3 calls after midnight. All right, I'm a little tired. Oh my God, I'm gonna get these words right. Words are tough.
What else did I talk about? Music, setting the mood. I discussed about I wasn't really big into music for years. I've kind of neglected music. And what I mean by that, instead of filling my time listening to music, I was listening to YouTube, or podcast on YouTube, and different things about learning and not about I don't know, just a whole different, it's like a whole different awakening with photography and creativity. And I've never been one that's been very creative, and I'll get into that more later. But how it was so awesome that when I came back to edit the good photos, the few good photos that I took, I just put music on a playlist, a random playlist on YouTube. And I don't know. Like I was talking about, I got goosebumps. It was so cool to I don't know, be in this little room, the pictures of my dog, the pictures of, the environment, learning photography, seeing how much change, just by shooting in RAW, seeing how much life I can bring back into the photo, try to get it to tell a story, I don't know. And then just mixing everything together really kind of was like, man, this is the right decision. This is absolutely the right decision. So that was pretty much episode 3. Oh, and then learning from mistakes. I think I briefly touched on that because I think I took notes. But there's so much that I learned, but even more that I learned by the mistakes. And I showed one that was like really overexposed.
It was a great learning experience. I learned more from the ones that didn't turn out right than the ones that did. So I'm very grateful for today and the ability to take the camera out. I'm grateful for this, whatever this becomes.
As far as my dog, like I tried to get a quick shot because she was playing with her ball and she had it like she was on her back in the grass and she's like holding the ball, I think in the air, if I remember right. So by shooting in manual, I didn't get the shot. And that's all I'm doing. I'm learning in manual. To learn exposure triangle, it's not about pointing and clicking. It's about adjusting your ISO, shutter speed, your aperture. I am in autofocus, but I learned a new trick the other day, which has not been documented yet. So it will not be in any of these episodes. It'll be in a future episode.
And I look forward to the next episode and any comments and stuff that are dropped. I look forward to getting back with you and growing. And listen to music. I guess I'm back. To listen to music. I don't know what's popular now. I have no idea. No clue. Something could be a year old. I joked about that with my wife a couple years ago. I heard a song and I was like, oh, wow, this is nice. Is it new? And she was like, no, it's like 6 months old. Where have you been? Where have I been? Anyway, I guess that's it. Outro. Take care. Goodbye.
In the depths of silence, where echoes remain, you were the sunrise, and I was the rain. A collision of souls, opposing in flight. I was the darkness, you yearned for the light. You were the laughter that kept me alive. You were hello, and I was goodbye. An ember that flickered